Am I live?
No, you're not. You need to go live now. Okay.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I need to know if I'm live or not.
Let me show live.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
we
okay,
are
okay.
live. Great.
Apparently you're live.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Oh, finally. Oh, my Lord. What a story this has been. Anyway, finally we're live. Oh, thank you so much for bearing with me. For those of you who have stayed here, it's been just a little bit of a nightmare. And I couldn't know if I'm talking, but I know all about internet trouble. I just got one of those right now. When you don't want it, that's when it happens. So there we have it. Anyway, for those of you who are here, welcome, my friends. It's wonderful to talk to you. And this is actually, I was thinking, what would you benefit the most out of this talk? Because I know I have some friends here that have already gone through the values teaching or have read the book or have been able to research maybe more, or they have been already trained at the master practitioner level. And first of all, because the world has changed so much and the values have changed so much around us in society, I thought, maybe, some sharing with you some ideas would be very beneficial for those of you who already know. And for those of you who don't, maybe I can inspire you to learn this. Because learning about values actually changes your life. No, 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 no. No, I don't think you understand. Learning about values changes your life. I'm going to explain how. So, first of all, maybe a couple of years ago or so, I did another important talk on values. Kind of, prompting a little bit some ideas about where are we going in the world in general, regardless of where you are in the world. But many, many things have changed around us in the environment. So for those of you who don't know, everything you do, and that's everything you do. Did I say everything? Everything you do depends on your values. Like whether you are motivated to go shopping or buy this or that product depends on your values. The fact that you are motivated to take action in your career to do something or not depends on your values. Whether you're motivated to eat a good, green, nice salad with vegetables or a, dare I say, McDonald's something, it depends on your values. Whether you're motivated to buy a pair of sneakers, a certain brand, or you don't care, or you prefer flip-flops because you're more comfortable, depends on your values. Whether you understand what I'm saying now or not depends on your values. Whether you're interested in NLP or not, as a realization that your mind changes your life, the way you think, not what you think, but the way you think, that's all part of your values. The fact that maybe you want to visit your mother-in-law on the weekend, or you want to go play golf, or you want to have a swim, or maybe you want to sit at home on the couch and watch a movie, on Netflix. That all depends on your values. So, everything you are motivated to do or not to do depends on your values. And that's, my friends, everything. Did I say everything? I'll say everything again. Okay, I beat that horse enough? Good. Now, we know before I even start teaching the section on values in the Master Practitioner, which takes about 3 days, and we just barely scratched the surface, by the way, in 3 days. There's a list of 20 points. I don't have the time to go through it now because it takes me half an afternoon to do that. But I will share with you the 3 most important that you can take with you right now and apply them in your life right now. Just 3. Which will change the way you think. Because you think in a certain way, and it's my duty and responsibility to show you that there is another way. Up to you to take it or not. But I want to share with you these 3 points, which are very, very important. First of all, when we ask somebody about their values don't run at the conscious level. Now you may think, oh, my values are conscious, and I'm doing this consciously, and I know this and that. No, it doesn't happen that way, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because we have the techniques and we know how to do it. However, values run very much at the unconscious level. So when you select a product versus another, at the unconscious level, you have a lot of criteria that you may not be even conscious of. That makes you select that. Same thing when you select a relationship, when you choose a relationship or not. Same thing when you choose a food you want to eat or not. And those things run unconsciously. So it's what's happening usually when you're hired or you get a new job, or you work for a corporation or for a type of a business. They usually come and give you like this, a piece of paper, and they say, these are our values. And you go, great. And you read them. They all look good. They sound good. You go, yeah, sure, that's fine. But that's at the conscious level, you see. If at the unconscious level, call it subconscious for those of you who are not trained, it's the same thing, by the way. Yeah. But if at the unconscious level, your personal values clash or conflict, now remember, it's at the unconscious level, yeah? With the values that you've been just given, are you going to feel good in that job? Or are you going to feel good in that relationship? The answer is no. Because deep down somewhere, something won't match. I don't know how else to put it. I could call it alignment, but it's too big of a word. Something won't match. And if it doesn't match, all right, doesn't match. So that's why, my friends, many times in a job, in a relationship, in family relationships or personal relationship, even in your personal development and growth, yeah? If this type of clash happens at the unconscious level and your values are not aligned or match the values of whatever it is in your environment, that's called incongruency, and it's going to create inside you something that's permanently going this, that, and that robs you of a tremendous amount of energy, plus it doesn't make for a steady, stable life because it's permanently conflicting. Now, coming back to where I started, the environment around us has changed tremendously in the last 2 years. And that's related to our values, because aside from what we have inside of us in terms of values running unconsciously, yeah, one of the most important things in relation to values is also the environment. Why? Why? Because the environment impinges upon our neurology, our body, mind, emotions, yeah, and physical body, and forces us to react in a certain way. And we react to the environmental changes that happen around us, depending on how our values are, either positively, which means we see opportunities in change, we see possibilities, and we carry on forward with the change, or we find the changes in the environment oppressive, and then we freak out, and then we are blocked. I just did a couple of weeks ago a talk on what stops us, what keeps us frozen, what keeps us stuck. And part of it is these environmental changes, which that's different from individual to individual, so I can't tell you which one you are. However, if change is difficult, then the person is absolutely stuck, blocked, and there is no moving forward. Listen, there are always problems. Life always throws at us all sorts of problems. Like, we had problem tonight with the internet. Everything worked fine, everything was good, and all of a sudden things don't work well. This doesn't work, the other one doesn't. It's supposed to work, and it's verified, and it's checked, and problems happen, right? Now what do? Do you bang your head against the wall and you go, and you do nothing? No, you take a decision and you carry on from there. But it's not for everybody, because I'm sure you know many people, and I hope you're not one of those. If you are, I invite you, if you're already trained, I invite you to come back in the environment, because you need to get unstuck. If you are not trained, from the bottom of my heart, I invite you to learn this, because it will help you tremendously. So the environment, that's the first thing. You may think that the environment is not affecting you, or you have your little bubble and you live in your little bubble, and what happens out there in the world is not happening to you. But it is. It definitely is. It's happening to all of us. See, and I know many people, I'm sure you do too, because they must be, if they are in my environment, they are in your environment as well. There are many people who look back to the past, waiting for the old normal to come back. Things to return to normal. How many times you heard this? How many people you heard this say this? Oh, things will return to normal, meaning the old normal. There is no old normal anymore, because we all have changed. We all have changed in the last 2 years. Even if the situation comes back, we are not the same people we used to be 2 years ago. No, we're not. And the environment around us, none of our doing personally has changed. So the question is, how do we react? Now, in the first talk I did 2 years ago, and I'm sure you can still find it, and probably is on our YouTube channel. I'm not sure, I didn't check, but I'm sure there is somewhere there. And I'm talking for those of you who don't know this. For those of you who have been trained already, obviously you know. That we spend this time in the master practitioner going, bit by bit and specifically. Through all this, there are 7 distinct, 8, maybe even 9 nowadays, distinct ways of thinking. Yeah, I want you to understand. Ways of thinking. Right? None of them is better than the other, but they are distinct in terms of, we call them concerns, life concerns. But what does that mean, life concerns? What I'm interested in, what motivates me, what drives me, what's important to me. And for some people, what's important is to go play football. For our other people, what's important is to go in nature, take a hike maybe in the mountains, or swim in the ocean. What's important for other people to play with their kids and be with their family members, visit their parents or brother, sister, and have family reunion, and so on and so forth. What's important to other people? To go out to a restaurant, have a nice dinner, or go to a concert, or go to a sports event, or stuff like that. And you may think, oh, but that's important to everybody, and I will totally disagree. No, it's not important to everybody, and for people who what you're interested in, they are not interested in, it doesn't make them wrong, and it doesn't make you wrong, because they have different values from you. And I'm sure I said it in that video that I did, Facebook Live, that I've done on values, but I'm going to repeat here. Values are not what you like, but what's important to you. That's a very big difference between the two. Massively important. I give you an example in my own life. I love croissants and I love halva. I just love them. Do I eat them? No. And here is why not. Because I don't tolerate gluten. And number two, I don't eat sugar. Now, how is it possible to like something, and I love it, by the way. I love both croissants and halva. Not necessarily together, but you get it, right? But I don't have them. Because in my values, not eating sugar is a very important thing, free of sugar, and gluten-free as well. It's important in my health values, right? So this is just a very, very little example of what motivates you and what's important to you, drives you first of all, and number two, it's not the same as what you like or dislike. Yeah? So some people are motivated, coming back to examples, some people are motivated to make more money, be prosperous. Some people are motivated in helping others. And by the way, if you look around, if you care to look around meaning get a browser, research on the internet, look also on social media. There is no better career nowadays which you can do from home, from your living room, than coaching others, helping others. Because after these 2 years, and I'm going to explain immediately specifically how values have changed in our society, yeah? But after these 2 years, there are many, many people who need help. And this is a very, very easy, and not only easy, but you're really, really, really helping them if you do this coaching. I know I'm invested in this because I'm in the field. But if you look how much the field of coaching is growing and how much need is for that, it's a fantastic field that it makes you, at least, see, in my values, it makes me feel good because I can help others. And I see people transforming their lives. And for those of you who are our graduates and are teaching trainings or doing coaching already, who are in the audience, you know exactly what I mean. Yeah, but again, people are motivated by different things. In this, remember I said there are 6 or 7 distinct ways of thinking, and we have emerging 8 and 9. Yeah, which is 7, 8, and 9 are so different from the rest. It's not funny. However, so coming back to where we started, to put everything in perspective, I know I talk a lot, and I hope you're staying with me, but the environment around us has changed. The environment impinges upon our neurology and forces us to respond in a certain way. Again, I don't know your personal circumstance, But I can tell you one thing. In 2020, when first we got into the pandemic, we couldn't do live trainings. Neither could you. No, nobody could do live trainings because that was the situation. It was the environment has changed around us. What do? Switched online just like this. Immediately. Switched online because it's the same thing, by the way. Very little differences. And now everybody's online anyway. In fact, so much people were online, I remember, that at the time I had trouble finding monitors. I had trouble. I went to the stores. It was curb service, you couldn't go in the store. But anyway, I couldn't find monitors. Why? Because everybody goes online. And now, what? Now it's kind of like I don't even want to bother to go to work because it's so comfortable to stay home, and do coaching over my work online. And it's kind of a problem. They're waves like this, It's I like to go meet people, but I like the comfort of being at home, or I like to have both as a possibility, and so on and so forth, right? But this is an example, again, for you to understand how the environment forces us to respond in a certain way, and we respond according to our values. Now, the next thing I want to say, which is connected to this one, right? Very much so, is that under stress, people have two options. 90% of the people, or so, okay, 85 to 90, something like that, around that area. Under stress, they revert to the previous way of thinking, which is completed, which is done. Like, you know when you've ever been done with something? You've done something and you go, I don't hate it, I don't love it, I'm just done with this, I'm moving on, I'm doing something else, right? Same thing happens with these ways of thinking, which we call values levels. When you're done, you're done. So under stress, most people, meaning a really high percentage, will revert to the previous values level. Previous way of thinking, which is done, is completed. Let me give you an example. So for those of you who are not trained, it becomes very, very, very simple to understand. Let's say that you have had a stable job for the last 10 years. And you work in the same job, maybe you got a promotion, but in the same company or governmental organization or whatever it was, right? And you had a very stable job. Now, boom, something happened in an environment as the pandemic happened in 2020. It started in March 2020. And all of a sudden your job was in jeopardy. Not because of a bad boss, just because of environmental conditions. Now, you sit there and go, yeah. Meanwhile, I wanted to develop my own business. I wanted to find a way of maybe making extra money or and whatever reasons, right? That thought that I just gave you right now, maybe I want to have my own small business. Maybe I want to make a business making videos on YouTube. I don't know, whatever, right? That represents a transition, a move from just doing the job that you've done so far to something new. And maybe you started doing that, slowly building toward that, and boom, the pandemic happened. Right? So, massive change, stress in the environment. Stress in the environment. How do you react? Now, I'm not talking to you as a person, I'm talking to a universal you. I'm making a generalization. Yeah? How does one react? So about 85-90% of the people will go, oh, something's not good. I better find a job. I better find something that I can do online if the old job wasn't available anymore or something. I go back to the being employed and having the certainty of that check. Or maybe I go get a second job, but still employed. Okay, same type of thinking. Now, 10 to 15% of the people, small percentage, because people always ask me percentages and it's hard to give them. So this is a very broad generalization, so understand where I'm coming from, yeah? But a small percentage of the people push forward and go, okay, maybe I can't do my old job when I was dutifully employed. This gives me an opportunity now to do what I always wanted to do anyway. Because, yeah, as safe as that was my old job, yeah, I didn't quite like it anyway. So that was lurking there, you see. The people who take this action and see the opportunities are smaller in number because it requires, how shall I put this? What does it require? I could call it willpower, but it's not about that. You know the difference between people who get things done and people who talk about getting things done? That's what I mean. You can call it go-doers versus talkers. You can call it go-getters versus people who just like to have a nice dream but never take action. Yeah. And I can understand why that happens for most people. Because it's hard to take action if you don't know what to do. Because I see the difference. I'm doing trainings and seminars, right? That's my shtick. But I can see people that come at the beginning of the training and they go, I don't know how to deal with this situation or whatever in my life. And it can be anything from money to relationships to health to, you name it. It could be anything. Personal development, spirituality, family, anything. Right? And they go, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to proceed. I don't know what that is. And so I'm kind of, I feel like I'm blocked, caught, stuck. And I feel like I should do something. And I talk about it. And I talk to my friends and I do all this. But I still don't do anything. Now the 10 to 15% of people are the people who go, I know this much, I learned this much, they go get skills. And again, this is an example of how I see people at the end of the training. They go, okay, I got this, I'm going to go do it. And that's the difference, my friends, because when the environment changes, it forces upon us a change. What do we do with that change depends with our values. Now, we need to discover our values, and I'll give you the question right now. What's important to you? That's the question, to discover your values. Yeah? Then we put them in order, then we discover how we're motivated, if we're motivated, moving forward, or we're running away from the wolf at the door, or regardless, both work, yeah? It's just a matter of how people do it. But as I said, if I was in charge, I'll take the magic wand and say, poof, everybody needs to know about values. No, seriously. This is not a joke. I love all techniques in NLP. I love probably timeline therapy the most because it really, really helps any person on earth. But the next thing which I would do, and if you just understand values about this much, you have to agree with me on this one. You have to agree with me on this one. It shows you why you're motivated the way you are, why you don't succeed if you don't, why you succeed the way you do, and so on and so forth. And it shows you what to do to change that so that you can make your life successful. I'm sure you heard they're present speakers and philosophers and around the world, and motivational speakers and coaches, but for 100 years, well, how long since, Think and Grow Rich book has been published? You hear this all the time. In order to change and be successful, you need to change your mind. Change your mind. Change your mind. And you go, yeah, I'm going to change my mind, no problem. How do you do that? One of the core essential things. To be able to change your mind is to change your values. First of all, to discover your values. So number one, let's recap what we talked about so far. Yeah. So number one, the environment changing around us forces, us to change something in our values. And our values change all the time. I know you'll hear that values you had when you were a kid are the values that you have when you are going to be 80. Incorrect. Incorrect. Absolutely wrong. Your values change maybe every 6 months, depending on what happens. And what happened in the last 2 years changed all of us. And you go, I changed everybody else but not me. Really? I bet you $1 that it changed you as well. Because you're not the old person that used to be. Because you faced different problems. Maybe you are facing different problems now. Okay? Number two, when we're under stress, and we all have been under stress, the whole world has been under stress. It's been very stressful. And it still is. I read that 1 million small businesses in the US will never recover. That's huge. So there are lots of people that need this kind of skills. Yes, every 6 months. It's possible, depending on what's happening. Yeah? So if life's just normal, everything goes as predicted, and everything's fine, then no big deal. Things your values kind of sort of stay the same, right? But if the environment changes. Now, this has been a major environmental change that affected all of us. But even in our private lives, like my environment has changed massively last year. As you know, I lost Dad. Now, is that a major stress? There are no words to describe what a major stress that is, right? It was. And things like this can happen. Even, your car breaking down could be a stress. It's a minor stress, yeah, but it's a stress. People getting married, people having a brand new baby, that's positive stress, but it's stress. So all of this type of stuff influences and impinges our values. Now, as a world, and I'm just making a very, very, very broad generalization, because if you imagine the planet globe, the whole map with the continents and everything, we had different, and I'm going very, very big picture, okay? So just to give you an idea of where we were and when we are and where we're going, okay? So most of the people in the world, in the European countries, Asian countries, in the Northern Hemisphere especially, Canada, Midwest and Central US, not the coasts, yeah, Australia, New Zealand, again, a very broad generalization. Individuals are different. Individuals are individuals, yeah, but as a broad generalization, have done anywhere between values levels in smaller percentage 2, small percentage 3, a lot of 4, and a lot of 6 inside of 4, and a little bit of 5. 5 done from the 4-5 perspective. Yeah, 4-5 perspective. Now, the United States in general, that's before the pandemic, right? United States in general has been a little exception to the rule, because 5, which is the 5th way of thinking, for those of you who are brand new, 5th way of the mindset being different, which is very entrepreneurial, yeah, as a nature. United States has done far more 5 than any other country in the world. Having lived in European countries, several of them, having lived in Australia and having lived in the United States, I can tell you that's true. Not all of the United States. In the coast, the east and west coast in the United States had a lot of values levels 5 and 6 also. With the very out there, and out there I mean things that are not understandable for most people, in energy production, new ways of energy production, in astrophysics, in computing industries, and so on and so forth, going way beyond values level 7. But that's not what most people are involved in. Yeah. Now, here it is, the major stress around the world. Happened 2 years ago. Boom. Really stressing the, you know what, out of all of us. So what happened? Exactly as in what I told you before, 85-90% of the people reverted to values levels. Did you notice that some of the people that you know, maybe your acquaintances, maybe people that live in your environment or whatever, have become more religious? All of a sudden they started praying again. Some people may have gone into, I need to learn yoga and learn meditation. Because the mind stress forces them to take a different action, and they think, oh, I'm just learning something new because. No, it's a reaction. It's a reaction to the stress. Some people said, okay, so this is what's happening. We need to reorganize. We need to take a new action. We need to do business in a new way. We need to get online. We need to get more automated, and so on and so forth. So they took action in that way. Some people said, oh my God, I can't go to work. What am I going to do? Oh, it's good. I'm going to stay home. But after 2 weeks of staying home, with the kids home, and you know, not having anything to do, eventually you get to what's called, and it's terrible, by the way, boredom. Now, the boredom clogs the mind as well. You may laugh and go, geez, I wish, I'm so busy, I wish I get bored. No, you don't. No, you don't, I promise you, no matter how busy you are. And my heart goes out to you if you are one of the people that works 2-3 jobs. Yeah? But you don't want to get bored. Bored is like being trapped in a mud hole, thick mud. And you can't do any, it's like, and eventually your mind gets that way, your emotions get that way, and everything is like spiraling worse and worse and worse into unhappiness. Not to speak of the fact that your financial situation is not good, your hopes and wishes are not happening, your dreams are not happening, and so on and so forth. And then you go, now what? Well, now what is, I'm proposing here the what. You got to change something, obviously. So depending if you are part of the 80% or 85% or part of the 50%, you know, I don't know where you are. I'm just cautioning you that even if you've been stuck, as I said in the previous talk that I talked to you guys, even if you felt stuck, you can change at any time. One more thing I just want to say, so this were the three things that I wanted the 3 main points I wanted to stress today. But because, again, of the environmental changes and all the restrictions that we had and rates that we had and so on and so forth, there are some major changes still happening. Now we have this terrible war going on over there, which is another stress, yeah? So, stressors will happen more and more. Because once this problem started, and I'm talking really big picture around the world, no matter where you are in the world. You can be in European countries, you can be in Canada, you can be in the United States, South America, Africa, Australia, doesn't matter where you are. So changes will still take place, and there are major changes happening. You know, it's called the Great Reset, the opportunity to set the world anew differently. Now, how that's going to happen, it depends on how we all think about it. But if we sit here going, I want the old normal to come back, and I'm going to fight for my old normal, it's not happening. It will not happen. Now, in order, I'm going to be very blunt and very direct. But if you want to adjust and be prepared and be with the wave that goes into the future, you need skills. You need new skills, because your old thinking is not good anymore. Sorry, it's reality. Yeah. So this is very important to look forward, because changes will still happen. We are becoming, in a way, a far more, I see the positive always, you see. I mean, sure, you can look at this negatively or positively, but I see the positive. We're becoming a more united world. I know you say, Adriana, you're nuts, you're crazy. There are so many divisive groups. Everybody's fighting against each other and whatever, and that's values, by the way. So easy to spot. And then you can negotiate and put groups together so, you know, they don't have to fight with each other. And I'm not talking a war, I'm talking groups in society, you know, that are all divisive and so on and so forth. And that's all values. It's all values. They're motivated by different values. And if people are motivated by different values, they can even clash. Yeah. So, again, what's to come? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but I see more and more technology coming in. I see more and more digitalization coming in. I see modification far more and faster and more, with more impact on our lives than we've experienced so far. I see the speed with which this gets implemented increasing exponentially. And so I would say by 2030, 2035, 2040, maximum 20 years from now, we will not recognize society. The question is then, are we going to just dig a hole? I'm not prepared to do that, by the way. Dig a hole and hide in it? No. No, because I find this exciting. I find this very, very exciting. Because, yes, it's new. And for most people, the new can be scary. Because it's new. It's not something you're used to. Yeah, always the new, it's scary. Change is always, I don't know what to do. Of course you don't, because you've never been there. But neither has anybody else. It's not like so-and-so over there and so-and-so over there and so-and-so over there, they're better than you. They may have more skills, yes, but that's not the problem. Everybody can learn. They may have more. Their values may be, let me put it this way. Their values may be better attuned to the environmental conditions. People ask me all the time in a training, hey Adriana, which values level is the best to be in? Well, I can tell you the transnational corporations, they're doing hardcore values level 5, disguised as you know, thin veneer of, you know, benevolence and all this. They're after money. I'm not telling you something new. It's all about profit, it's about market share, it's about, you know, this kind of stuff, obviously. I mean, hello. Right? And that's a way of thinking. Now, for us meaning the population, that we're not the shareholders or the stakeholders of gigantic corporations. For us, situation is different because we are doing a different type according to what is being told in the news or what's being told, you know, on social media, all the slogans and, you know, the sound bites that were being delivered every single day. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to do something else. We're supposed to do sharing and cooperating and collaborating, but I can see opportunities even there. I'm telling you, there is, if you want a satisfying job, there is nothing better but being in a job where you, or a career where you can help others. It's very fulfilling. So I see more of a values level 4, a new type of values level 4, which is a new system, this time unified around the planet, which is of a digital nature, coming in for the population. Values level 5, actually it's not a pure 4, it's 6 inside of 4, as you think of it. Values level 6, values inside of values level 4, neurology and container. Yeah, the neurology of the body, because they are both very close to each other in terms of being sacrificial. But this is what I see. I see a lot, and I see a small percentage of people making a lot of money in small businesses, but that's a small percentage. I told you 10 to 15%, because there are tremendous opportunities. Yes, it requires change. Yes, it requires a different type of thinking. Yes, it requires new skills. But I got on good authority that any one of you can do this. Any one of you. I date myself now, but I've done this for, I think this is the 24th or 25th year since I started in this career. And I've seen pretty much everybody in every training I attended or I taught go through that. So don't tell me I don't have the skills. Well, learn. It's very, very simple. Because there are opportunities, but the old ways are not happening. That's one thing. I said it and I'm saying it again. So I hope I gave you some pointers, some ideas. And of course, as always, for those of you who have not attended any of our trainings, this is the time for you to join us. I actually am, if I tell you I'm excited, yes, I am, but I'm beyond excited every single time when I have a brand new group of people who are willing to learn, because I know these people will be successful. I don't hold back anything, you know very well. I don't hold the ace in the sleeve. In fact, I'm just going to do an unashamed, plug-in right now. But if you don't have my book, it's time to have it. In fact, there is an audio version of my book, which you can listen to driving in your car. That's my thick book here, and probably you won't want to read it because it's just a monster. I don't know what made me write this. Look how thick it is. Now I'm looking at it and I go, what on earth made me write a 600 or something page book? But I had all the information, and I was thinking to put it on 2 volumes. Then I said, okay, no, leave it. So yeah, at least, to the very least, get the book, and I said it's in audio format. But I'm telling you, here's the thing. Yes, you will learn a lot from that book, but you won't learn how to elicit values. You won't learn how to change values. You won't learn if you're motivated by the carrot or the stick and how to change that and how to progress, because this is an information. And I did my absolute best, and that was on purpose, not to repeat what I teach in the training with what I put in the book. Because what's the point? What, copy the training and put it in the book? No, that's ridiculous. No, I wouldn't do that. But anyway, so from the bottom of my heart, I invite you to join us in the training. We have just 1 master practitioner per year in the US, and 1 master practitioner per year in Australia. You can find the schedule at nlpcoaching.com. Just click on training schedule if you want to join us. But otherwise, I hope I gave you some thoughts today about where we are. And I said, that's going to be more digitalization. The speed of change will be tremendous. So hang on to your hats, my friends. There is no going back to the old normal. We have progressed and changed as a society in general too much already from 2 years ago. And there is no way of going back. We're not going backwards. So the question now, since that's the case, again, and you need to think about it because it's your life, your family, your kids, your relatives, your loved ones, and so on and so forth. you need to think of this. What do you want to do? What do you want to do to stay in the wave of progress moving forward? Because if you change your mind, you will begin to see opportunities that maybe you don't see them even right now. It requires a certain type of thinking to be successful. Again, this is not new. This is not Adriana saying. I'm going back to Think and Grow Rich, 100 years ago, and even before that. Even before that. It requires a certain type of thinking. If you're still going to do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. And the environment forces us to change. I hope I made a point, and yep, that's it anyway. And of course, one more thing which to me is implied, but maybe it's not to you. In order to change our values, we need timeline therapy, because that's how we change the values. In the NLP part, there are two things to changing values. Yeah, and to me, in my mind, that goes without saying. That's why, in all our trainings, we teach NLP with timeline therapy together, because they are all related like this. And I know, it's very hard to explain to somebody what is life like after you made the mind change and you learn the new skills, because you don't know. So you're just hearing my words, and you hear words of our graduates and our successful trainers and master trainers around the world, and they teach trainings and so on and so forth. You just hear words, and maybe some people's words have more impact on you than other people's words. But when you see really somebody who goes, what did you do? What happened to you? And then all of a sudden they change their lives. They maybe start making more money, or they get a job interview and they're successful, or they have a breakthrough in their own business, or they find a relationship, or I don't know, whatever people want. Yeah, people have all sorts of drives and desires and wishes, and it's normal. It's called life. Yeah, and you see them succeeding, and then you ask them, what just happened to you? You go, nah, because I took a training. Really? It's hard to fathom. And yet, this is how it happens, my friends. This is how it happens. So, thank you for being so patient with my internet trouble at the beginning. I was so frustrated, I almost gave up. And I said, okay, we're going to reschedule and do it again. But by the way, we can do this more if you want to. In the future, if you're interested in, let me know in your comments. Ask questions, please. On our thread, ask questions. I'm here for you. We're here for you. It's very clear that we want to help each other. It's the most important time right now in the transition, with the speed of change that happens, that we're here for each other. We support each other, and. Yeah, what can I say? I'm looking forward to meet you again. And for those of you who I haven't met before, I'm looking forward to meet you. And I'll share with you everything I know. Have a wonderful rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And all my love to you. And again, let me know if you have questions or anything. I'm here for you. All my love to you. I'm going to sign off now.